Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. And as you can see in the co-captain's chair today for this episode, wearing his Uriah Heep shirt, it's Rick Labonte from up in Canada. It's the episode that everybody has been. I shouldn't say patiently because I've been getting messages constantly from people about, Pete, don't you know there's a new Uriah Heep album out? Why haven't you reviewed it yet? I'm like, well, I haven't reviewed it yet because I got it like a week and a half after it came out, if not more than that. And then I went away on a business trip. So better late than never, my mother always says. So, Rick,
That's
welcome
right.
to the show.
Thank you.
Chaos and Color is the album from Uriah Heep. We have finally gotten to it. I think I've had enough spins through it to form some pretty solid opinions, I think. And I guess I have a little something to say to get off my chest, and it's not like you haven't heard it before. But in fact, Rick, while I'm doing that, why don't you go through the digipack here and show
Yeah,
everybody the
I
insides
will.
and whatnot?
And not to mention, you get a patch if you.
That's correct. Yes, I have mine here too as well. Yeah, for those of you who like patches, Ryan Scow, I'm talking to you, Nick Franco. You got hopefully a new patch for your battle vest and your jacket. So, one of the things I do want to say, and like I said, I've said this before about this band and about other legendary bands who still make new music. If you are someone who's watching this episode and you were really into Uriah Heep in the 70s, and then for whatever reason just stopped listening to them, and you perhaps have been saying things all these decades later that, I like the classic stuff with David Byron. I haven't really listened to much since them. I think they will never do anything as good as the 70s material. If you're one of those people, you are sleeping at the wheel. And I'm not going to come out and say that the last 5 Uriah Heep studio albums are better than Demons and Wizards or The Magician's Birthday or Look at Yourself or the self-titled or Very, Very, Very Humble. I'm not going to say that. Are they the best albums the band has put out probably since Sweet Freedom? Quite possibly so. And, there's a reason why Mick Box himself has labeled me as the truth. I speak the truth when it comes to this band. I've been listening to them since I was a teenager, since I was like 12 or 13 years old. I have every Uriah Heep album ever put out. I love all of it to certain degrees, and I will confirm, yes, those first 5 or 6 albums are probably their greatest albums they'll ever make. However, this album and the last few that they've made in the 2000s, and they did some good stuff in the 90s as well. There's a couple really good 80s albums as well. I will say their last 5 studio records are as good or right behind those classic 70s albums. So if you have just not bothered to listen to them in all these years and you discount them and you're one of those people that goes to see Uriah Heep live and only gets excited about hearing the 70s stuff and then you don't pay attention to the rest, do yourself a favor, please. Go check this album out or any of the last few they've done and give them your time because it'll be well deserved. And these are some of the great heavy rock albums of the last 20 years by a band that's been around for over 50 years now. And for my money, out of all those classic bands from yesterday, they're the band that is making, and there's others too. Saxon comes to mind, Deep Purple comes to mind. There's a handful of others, but out of all the really old guard, they are making the best new music out of all of them, hands down. And some of you might say, well, but the only original member is Mick Box. Yeah, but Bernie and Phil have been in the band since the mid-late 80s.
That's right.
Russell and Davey have been in the band for a long time now. This band has been a unit for a long time. So I get it, only one original member, but the spirit of Uriah Heep is still there. All the characteristics are still there. With all that being said, welcome, Rick, to the show. Let's talk about Chaos and Color.
Well, I have to concur and add to that what you said. I piggyback on that by saying, look, folks, that 20th century Uriah Heep, the first 5 albums are awesome. But the 21st century Uriah Heep, everything 2008, when the Wake the Sleeper came out, then they came out with Into the Wild, Outsider, Living a Dream, and now this recent album is solid. Just like the 5 albums that first came out, it's getting better and better. I mean, just great. I mean, I don't want to say it's better. They're all important albums. They're all special. But I agree with you. This legacy band is still got some fire in the tank, and there's a lot of muscle on these albums. And you're missing out if you're not checking it out. You know, and for us, if we're doing any justice, we got to let you know that those 5 albums are just as important as the other song that you're going to hear on the set list because they're that great.
Yeah, I mean, and obviously it's many years later, right? So there's more of a modern touch to these albums.
Sure.
But you love the heavy Hammond organ of yesteryear, you got plenty of that. You like Mick Box's big riffs and
And
great
the wah
solos, you got that. You want fantastic lead vocals, Bernie's your man, right? You if you remember and think very highly of Gary Thane's great melodic and very muscular bass lines, Davey Rimmer's doing all that. And then you got the little powerhouse, Russell Gilbrook, who's just an incredible drummer. So, I mean, all the elements are still there. The songs are memorable. You got all the really neat vocal harmonies that Heep were known for back in the day. They do those still to this day. I mean,
right.
Short songs, longer, epic songs, proggy, heavy rock. I mean, it's all here. Everything's here.
It's almost like the whole anthology is in those 5 albums of the recent. They made sure that they check all the boxes as fans like you all are hoping for. They deliver. But they also brought a lot of new things to the table, making it relevant, the theme of the day. Like this album is during a time of a pandemic. So there's a current theme in some of these songs that are sort of a mild concept album, right? Because they're talking about how the world is a little more confused than it was before. It's a lot of cynical opinion. But just like Uriah Heep tradition, they always give you that glimmer of that glimpse of hope, that optimistic feel. Or we'll get out of there. And very consistent with the Ken Hensley lyric writing, these guys have carried that torch and pass it on to pass on good, positive approach on these, chaos time. They brought the color. If there's chaos, they're trying to tell you, look up, we can get to the other side. And to me, that is so consistent with their personality. You and I met them individually, so it's so relevant to their writing. It's consistent to their personality, how positive they are, how charming, how great they are to their fans. Well, they're like that in this album. They made sure the fans gonna be approved of their what they had to say.
Yeah, and I that's a good point about how what they've done here. Yeah, it's not a concept album, but lyrically, all the songs are tied to the challenges that we as a human race, and I'm not talking about political parties or any of that kind of nonsense, or ethnicity or religion, nothing. It's all about how as a human race, it's been challenging the last few years, and how I think that the lyrics really point towards trying to be positive about our situation, and we need to come together as people and not be separated by all sorts of ridiculousness. So, and what's really cool is that, as I'm looking through the booklet here, I mean, almost the entire band took part in the writing of this album. So you got, Mick and Phil wrote the bulk of the songs, but Davey wrote some stuff on here. Russell wrote some stuff on here. I don't know if Bernie wrote any of these songs.
No, but Bernie contributed to the last record song. But what's interesting is that for Russell, who'd been around since 2008, this is the first time he got songwriting credit, and he had 4 songs with a partner, Pino, I believe his last name is. And this would be David Rimmer's second time bringing a song to the table with his partner. He collaborate, Jeff Scott Soto.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So there's 10 new tracks on here. You get 11 because you get the demo version of Save Me Tonight, which is the kickoff track. And that's the demo version that's got Jeff Scott Soto and Richie Faulkner from Judas Priest playing guitars. And it's a bit different. I mean, it still sounds kind of the same, but it's a little bit different. I think it's kind of cool that they included that on here just so you can hear where the genesis of the song came from. But I will say Uriah Heep's version of Save Me Tonight is, I mean, that's the first track on the album, and it just and it isn't it the shortest song on the album or close to it. I think it's the shortest song on the album.
It is the shortest one.
But it's like it's a rocker, boy, and it's just got all the things that we love so much about Uriah Heep. It's got mixed heavy riffing. It's got the
Mhm.
big Hammond organ from Phil. Bernie sounds terrific. It's got all those backing vocals, which we love. You got Davey and Russell pounding it out the rhythms. It's got these little tricky bits throughout, which is really cool. It's probably my favorite song on the album.
Well,
And
it's a great one. I don't, you know, what, I'm having trouble with that right now. It started off as my favorite because that's the longest one. They release it to the world, so I've been hearing that forever, and it was a great way to open the record. But there's so many great gems on this record, and one thing, and every song, I mean, every song here has a wow factor that blew me away, just like living a dream was. And to me, you know, when you talk about old fans who are listening, you know how a lot of people say, you know, Demons and Wizards was that best album in the 20th century. And to me, Living the Dream is like that. And like how I feel about Magician's Birthday, I always felt that that was par. It was not a better album, Demon and Wizards, just another great record from that classic lineup. I feel the same way about this record. I think they did everything right, and it's just different new song for us to get used to, and great song to take to the stage. Any one of these songs is going to be awesome for them to perform because it shows so many of their talent. But I'm glad that you mentioned the first one off the bat. It was just like the last album. They opened with Grazed by Heaven, who's written by Davey and Jeff. But just like that one, like you said, it's packed with the Uriah Heep typical trademark of the heavy sound vocal, and it's like what a great way to introduce the record, the rest of the record, and to have the bottom one as what it could be, you know, being the demo was a great finish of the record. But the record really sits at 60 minutes. 4 more extra minutes with this bonus track. And that's what we want. 1 hour of solid, great listening. And it feels like you watching a concert or listening to a concert because they put all the things that you need in a Uriah Heep show. If you're coming up with a fast song or a little bit of ballad or a little bit of proggy nature, they did all that. So let's move on to the next one.
yeah,
Silver
so
Sunlight.
Silver Sunlight. Yeah, that's another good one. I like, mixed doing all these like little kind of guitar licks at the beginning.
Yes.
You get the Hammond organ comes in, great chorus. I'm a sucker for memorable choruses, Rick. And this band, generally speaking, throughout their history, doesn't disappoint in that era. And on this album, almost all these songs have a really memorable chorus that hooks you in, and musically they're always spot on. So I really like Silver Sunlight a lot. It's another
Me
good.
too. And you said it, the vacuum vocal and all those nights hooked with the catchy chorus, it's just it's just ear candy, you know? And then you move on to the next one, which is the first time Russell gets out there to the world. For anybody heard it. But that wasn't the first time they released it. It was Hurricane. But on this running album, Hail the Sunrise, with I really love the arrangement and the riffs and all the ideas, but there's so much cool dynamic where it's soft or so slow, and then the whole band comes smashing in, just like a typical recording of what they've done in the past. And just what I gotta say about the last two albums that been done by the same producer, right? Jay.
Yeah, Jay
And
Russell. Yeah.
yes, and he had that formula just like he does with Winery Dogs and many other great projects. He maximized the volume like you're hearing them on stage live. Everybody, but you hear everybody, nobody's frequency isn't, it covered. Everybody's got a space in there, but everybody's all balls out. Maybe head above wave for a solo, or maybe just eye level for because everything's so happening. But then in the middle of the song, they pull it down with that dynamics or the way they begin, just so you might turn up your stereo. Watch out, because there's something gonna come up with a nice chord there. I just really love the fact that every time I was listening to this album, just when you're starting to think you got the groove, the song changing again. And this is one of those songs I love the arrangement. And for Russell bringing that, I think that was fantastic.
Yeah, you make a good point. There's really good dynamic between the heavier and the lighter sections on this song. Again, the really rich chorus, and I love the main riff, like towards the intro, which kind of sounds a little like Gypsy at times, which I kind of dug.
Yes.
This Hail the Sunrise actually to me reminded me of the material from the Sea of Light album a little bit, which did a
Yeah.
lot of that sort of kind of light and shade thing throughout a lot of those songs. So really,
Especially
really
with
good
that
stuff.
oohs and ahs, like in Against the Odds, for example, comes to mind of that album that I hear that. I hear what you're saying.
Yep, yep. And that brings us to Age of Changes, another good one.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking too, with all the harmonies and stuff. That reminds me of that. Great song.
Ah,
Yeah, that's the part. Yeah, oh, that reminds me of Against All Odds. Actually, that's the one I wanted to mention.
yep.
But then you get Hurricane, which was the second sneak preview that we got to hear. And right then, when I heard that song, and didn't even know until I read further on Facebook that Russell wrote it. It's just a He wrote it for the band because it wasn't all drum oriented. It wasn't. He made room for his bandmates to really jam, and I love the chorus on that one as well.
Yeah, Hurricane is one of my favorites. I think for folks who like the big riffy Uriah Heep, that's Nick is totally on point on this one. It's a total headbanger of a track. But again, the chorus ultra memorable, and that's, to me, that's a win-win, right? It's heavy, solo spots for everybody, great vocals, and a memorable chorus. I'm sold. That's it.
Yeah, and it's great for stage. You know this is gonna be a song.
Oh, for sure. That's got to be in the live
It
set.
has to be. It's just so many wow factors that cannot.
Yeah.
Now, the next one was pretty powerful song. And, just in the tradition that they do, they always have, a song and an album, whether you're looking at Wonder World, High and Mighty, or any of the albums of the classic, for those who always compare the 20th century stuff. One Nation, One Sun, just the fact that they have that piano and this just voice for a little while. And, and it's a 7 minute, 35-second song. So, it's packed with a lot of stuff. And then I love the bass lines and through those little piano work. I mean, Davey's kicking ass. I love him. I love what he did in this album so much. I mean, there's a couple other tunes I mentioned that it really showed that Gary Thane and Trevor Bolder was saluted in their way they play. Could he put some of that personality in some of these arrangements, in my opinion?
I think you hear more of him on this album, right? I'm hearing more of his bass lines on this album than the last couple, for whatever reason.
Me too. Me too. And especially when you get to Freedom to Be Free. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's just fantastic. But another thing is that this album, this song, is a great song of hope. It's one of those things, just letting you know, folks, there's harmony out there. We can connect. And that is a traditional Uriah Heep hippie fashion, is to let everybody know in the modern era that this, if people like us all have that little bit of positivity, you got to know there's more people out there like us. We just got to get more connected. We're a lot louder than the voice of small people that make a lot of noise. You know what I mean? And so don't be discouraged. We got it together, and I think that's great. The whole song is solidarity to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the title says it all. One nation. We're all one nation. We all, worship the one sun. And I think the world needs more songs like this. I mean, it's just, the lyrics are totally positive, and yeah, it's a really good one. Really good one. And I like Mick's guitar solo in it as well, which is really nice. Golden Light, to me, that's the big prog song on this album.
Me too, and I love the way it starts with that kind of keyboard guitar thing going. It's kind of uncanny, and then you don't know where it's going to take you, and it's a great song. I really like it.
Yeah, another good one. And then after Golden Light, we've got another one of the 3 7+ minute epics, You'll Never Be Alone. It's a good one too.
Yes, and again, letting you know that there's a shoulder to lean on. Just that kind of message, and it's just, I mean, I got the luxury, you and I have the luxury of knowing the personalities behind some of these songs. So it's just consistent with their personality. And so just to let you know that, that message, people should read that. You're not alone out there when people need to hear that a lot more.
Yeah. It's a really good track. You got a little more piano in this from Phil. And this is another one of those slow build songs. You got this middle section on this, which is really heavy, with a scorching solo from Mick.
Oh no!
All comes in with the raging Hammond organ, and this is a really cool song because it has different parts to it. Really, really cool. So, of the 3, the great thing is the 3 epics on this album are all really great for individual reasons. They're all completely different.
That's right. And they all have a different approach. So, but they're stressed all the itch of the stuff that you want to hear in a Uriah Heep album through those songs. Sure.
Exactly. And then we got Fly Like an Eagle, big hard rocker.
Yep, definitely potent, good stuff, great vocals. And then Freedom to Be Free, another good social commentary in a way. But I really love how that song is, and that song changes a lot. I mean, you go for the first 3 minutes, it's almost like you think that's a complete song, and then they go into a wild organ solo, right? Just to give you that touch of that. What we love about Deep Purple and old Uriah Heep, right? That whole organ solo going to Mick Bach, and then they pass it on. But about 350, Davey takes over, and he plays to a good. Comes back again around 4:30 again, playing this. I would say an overdrive bass. You know, definitely had a little distortion. He had some
Sounds like Billy Sheehan almost in spot.
yeah, he had some guts in it, eh? And he just going out, and it's the side of Davey I don't get to hear all the time unless he's doing something in the middle of Gypsy Live, eh? But on recording, this is great. We didn't get to hear him do that. You hear him do that stuff live, but not on an album like that. And I think that was fantastic.
Yeah,
So yeah, and you know we already mentioned Russell is a great drummer, but what I love about record is that not only he's powerful and he has all this awesome playing, but he plays for the song and he's more about groove than showing off. But his ability is so good, it's like showing off anyway, because a normal Phil is just he plays it so well and so tasty as a songwriter. I didn't know that about him. I didn't know he saw him at the drum, but he's a songwriter. That's why he cares about the song. He's more of a lyrical drummer. He plays to the feel of the music. He's not there just showing off his resume because we know how talented he is. And that's got a lot to be said about this band is that they did a balance of showing their musicianship, but they really catered to the song and a band feel, more about individualism, even though they all come out, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, Freedom to Be Free is another one that I think we both would highly recommend. It's definitely top 3 song on the album, I think.
For sure.
And then it, to me, it finishes off with the long lost sibling to Easy Living, Closer to Your Dreams. I mean, as soon as the song starts, I'm like, this is like Easy Living Part 2. I'm like, it's fast paced, Hammond organ driven monster. It's like 3 minutes and change, and it just comes in, kicks your ass, and then gets out. That's it.
And the bass line, the moving lines, like they're just like when they do the shuffles for Easy Living. Oh, another song that reminds me from Wonderworld, Something or Nothing. That whole thing, that whole vibe, it gave you that feel. But they didn't clone the song, folks. They just put that element that you like and that kind of shuffle and doing things a little different. But Closer to a Dream, it's got a great message, a great song, typical Uriah Heep. But you're right, it feels like the 20th century version of Uriah Heep, that song. If you want to go on a time machine and take a track, and they were, you know, that's what it sounds like to me. And maybe that's why they closed the record that way before they put the demo, to give you a little taste of a blast of the past.
Yeah, which totally makes sense. So, you know, right there you have 10 tracks that make up the album, and it just takes you on a really wild ride. And there's no bad track on here at all. You get lots of variety, lots of nice flavors, but man, everybody just sounds great. I mean, Bernie sounds terrific on this album. Not that he hasn't sounded terrific, because he has, but I mean, these guys just are getting better with age, like a fine wine. And it's just incredible. Really, really good stuff. And then like Rick and I were talking about, there's at the end of the album, if you get the the digibook thing, you get the demo version of Save Me Tonight, which was the kick-ass first track we were talking about. And that's the original demo of it. And you actually have Jeff Scott Soto singing the vocals and Richie Faulkner on guitar. And it's a little longer, right? It's probably just as heavy, but it's kind of interesting to hear the song like a little bit different and sung by a different guy. And we all love Jeff Scott Soto. So yeah, there's good inclusion on here. That first, I really wasn't, when I first got it, I really wasn't paying attention to the track list on the back, and I'm listening to it. I'm like, wait, that's the first song. And I'm like, it's Jeff Scott Soto. And then I opened this up and I'm like, oh shit, there you go. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice. It's a nice added bonus. I don't know if that's going to be like that for every copy out there, because don't forget, we got the unique patches. I don't know if they do that for every and a book version of this. But anyway, I just wanted to say, Uriah Heep, you guys did an awesome job. You guys consistently impress us. And again, every song has a wow factor. There is something for everybody that want to look at and analyze this later. I'm telling you, every song has something unique idea. I'm so glad that they put it on the record.
Yeah, for sure. So Rick, everybody's going to ask, well, what kind of rating would you guys give it out of 5-star? What would you give it?
Well, brother, I'm being truthful here. I mean, I felt living in a dream for Uriah Heep and seeing the momentum that they did was a 5 out of 5. This is a 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
I won't lose sleep at night. This is the equal part, or it's just different song. I won't say it's better than Living a Dream. Living a Dream isn't better than this. It's just two great albums, just like Demons and Wizards and Magician Birthday was to me. Two super albums, and we can't wait to have both of these albums on a set list because they are a hot item for people to watch them pull that live.
Yeah, I would agree. I gave that last album a 5 out of 5 star, and I would give it to this as well. This is spectacular. And again, I'm on, like, I probably listened to it probably like 6 or 7 times so far, and I keep wanting to hear it more and more and more. So yeah, good stuff. So and everybody knows it's on Silver Lining Music. I'm not overly familiar with Silver Lining Music, but hey, whatever. I know Heap have bounced around a little bit. They were on Frontiers for a bit, and but anyway. Chaos and Color, and yes, they're spelling color like the UK way to spell color.
And like Canada.
And in Canada too. Yeah, we're here in the States. We don't favor and color. We don't put the U's.
I have to adjust that when I do your things. Like when I put my favorite album from 1973, I put the U out just so no one goes typo, because it always shows up as a typo sometimes.
I know.
But anyway,
it's crazy, but yeah, great stuff. So if you haven't heard it, go check it out. I know there was a issue for whatever reason. I think they sold a lot more copies of this initially off the bat because everybody was out of it within like 3 days. So hey, it went on quickly on back order. So hopefully you guys can still get a copy out there now. I got mine from Amazon eventually, but it's in stock once again in most places. So go check it out. And visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together. All the damn time. Rick, you got any updates on gigs that are coming up for you, or new music you're writing, or anything like that?
No, but I do just want to say yesterday was an anniversary for me for Uriah Heep because I got to sing with them 5 years ago. Yeah, on stage in London, and a sound check, and then they invited me back for an encore. And they didn't have to do that, but Mick knew I was a super Heap fan, and just kind of his personality. He saw me right in front row, called me back up to sing at the encore, and that was 5 years ago yesterday. Wow. So I'm proud to share that. And little did I know that I would become friends with the rhythm section where they invite me backstage when I went to Kent, Ohio, or when I went to Sheffield, UK. They invited me back there, and lo and behold, they even played on my album Living It Up. I mean, you never would have saw that. Talk about making the dream come true, or living a dream was to have that opportunity. Thank Mick, Phil, Bernie, Russ, and Davey. That meant a lot to this super Heap fan.
Yeah, they're super nice guys. I've had the pleasure of meeting them on a couple of occasions, and I look forward to seeing them all again in the not too distant future. So, guys, hopefully you're going to make it to the States sometime this year for a little tour. That would be great. Always a pleasure to see Uriah Heep here in the New York area. So there you have it, everybody.
Talk about the album. We got to get them to interview like last time.
Yeah, I know. I got to reach out to Dave because I sent him a message like before I went away on my trip and said, when I get back, we need to do that. So yeah, I got to do that. So.
Yeah, I love to hear how they put this album together, being that's kind of unique with the situation that they're all isolated and cabin fever and come together. And wow, what a package they came with.
Yeah, for sure. In fact, I think when I did talk to them last and had them on the show, it was right at the beginning of, or I think it was in 2021, right? So it was kind of in the middle of the pandemic, and they were talking, they had been writing, and they had anticipated that the album would have come out in 2022, but actually came out early this year. So yeah, so it's time to get him back on. So yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'll reach out to Davey and get that all set up. So
right on.
Cool. So there you go, everybody. Chaos and Color by Uriah Heep. Thanks for watching this episode of What's Sea of Tranquility. I forgot what show is this? I don't know, whatever. So anyway, thanks to Rick for joining on for this one. We'll see you soon, and see you all much later here on the channel. I am Pardo for Rick Bonte. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Long live Uriah Heep.
That's right.